Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Perilously Yours by Anise Storm. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue, KESIA, San Antonio, Texas. The dog days of summer were here, leaving over a week of wet yet equally humid weather in its wake. We were packed into John's rusted Corolla, and no one could see even a few feet in front of them. Rain pelted the windshield and had been all the way to San Antonio until we parked the car at this particular intersection. Now it was more of a slow drizzle, which only served to creep me out more. I didn't even want to come, but I knew once we left this godforsaken place, we would continue our journey into San Antonio, where we would have one last night on the town together before many of us left for college. I can't believe I've let you guys talk me into this, I muttered, only to be shushed by my best friend, Marina. Shh, they won't come out if they hear you, she told me, and I hated to break it to her, but that was the point. Quit being a scaredy cat, Danny added. I shut up in that moment, but not before sticking my tongue out. Coming here to this haunted place was something everyone else had wanted to do, so I sighed quietly, then looked around the packed car. Damn, I'm going to miss everyone. Our small gang was notoriously known around our neighborhood, located on the outskirts of New Braunfels. Not much happened there, like ever, but it never seemed to matter. We'd all grown up with one another, and our friendships had stood the test of time, including differing high schools and a move on Mari's part. Through the years, we were referred to as the Troublesome Five by church deacons and teachers alike. Everything we did was in good fun, and it didn't escape me that I might never enjoy the camaraderie I had with them with anyone else again. When we all went our separate ways this time, it could be forever. I hated to even think like that, so I pushed those thoughts to the back of my mind. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration, and one our small neighborhood would never have been able to handle. We were the Troublesome Five, as everyone called us, and it was crazy to think of something so magical ending just like that. After all, it had always been the five of us. Daniel, Danny Buckner, Romeo Seaton, John Spitzer, Marina Sparks, and me. KESIA, Romeo said, and I turned to my left. Although he was still here, I knew I'd one day refer to him as the boy who had gotten away. From growing up across the street from one another until now, we'd always been super close. I had to admit that as he aged and became even more handsome, my schoolyard crush on him had grown, leaving me awkward and tongue-tied more often than not. One day I would look back at this time and kick myself for not seeing where I could have led. As it was, I was already a bit remorseful over not pursuing him earlier. Now he was about to head off to the Ohio State University, where he would go to college on a full-ride football scholarship. I was very proud of him, as were the others, and I knew he would be the hardest to keep in touch with, due to his grueling schedule and the mere distance. Romeo was the quintessential Texas jock. He not only played football for our high school, but he also pursued baseball and track, earning his varsity letters in all three sports. He was destined to make something of himself, and that, combined with his boyish good looks, were the reasons most girls threw themselves at him. Not me, though. When my other bestie had focused on Romeo, I cut my losses and went for another classmate instead. As I sat in this car, feeling the heat of his body so close to mine, I was quickly regretting that I had passed on my chance. Taking the road less traveled amongst our little gang, I lost my virginity a mere 13 months ago to the James Dean guitarist in the driver's side seat in front of me. The sex with John had been good, yeah, but we'd realized how weird it felt afterwards, so we had broken things off and had kept things casual ever since. It wasn't hard because he had the natural ability to make me laugh, and probably more than he should. John was a clown. All the way back to the elementary school, he'd always kept us in stitches with his antics and pranks, all of which only intensified through middle and high school. He'd recently been voted class clown at our high school, and rightfully so. And we'll be right back. What? When John grinned at me, it made me slightly nervous. I was just saying that you should stay in the car. Wait, what? I didn't want to be in the car when some unknown force moved it. I reached for the door handle, but a warm hand covered mine, which stopped me in my tracks. As I looked up at Romeo, I couldn't stop my heart from skipping a few extra beats. He'd always had the power to make my heart flutter, the butterflies in my chest to this day a testament to it. Drop dead gorgeous, he was sexy, talented, and he could always tell what I was thinking or feeling. Girls all over school flocked to his side, all wanting to be the one to hang on his arm. Despite his popularity, there was never any arrogance with him, even though he very easily could have been cocky and gotten away with it. Hold on, KESIA. His looks were not the only thing to still make me weak in the knees. A lot softer spoken than our other male friends, Romeo never needed to make as much noise to get his voice heard. As my name echoed in my head, I let out an involuntary sigh at days gone by. Sometimes I miss the days when we were just good friends, with no weirdness between us. There would be no sexual tension or anything more than good-natured friendship. Although I'd never acted on my feelings for him, I had been harboring them since the summer between our 8th and 9th grade years. While John had remained a wisecracking teenager, Romeo went away for the summer, then came back with all that added muscle. He also returned with a panty-wetting rasp, which, paired with his boyish smile and a wicked smirk, made him a star in most girls' fantasies, including mine. I need her help outside. Let Danny and Marina stay in the car, he finally told John. After flashing him a look of gratitude, I opened the door and quickly scrambled out, nearly stumbling onto the wet ground when one of my shoes slipped on the damp leaves. Romeo quickly grabbed me so I didn't embarrass myself, which was another thing I was now grateful to him for. I straightened up, then wiped my hands down the front of my jeans before moving aside. John followed him, and I was at ease until the two males smiled at one another. I looked between them as they circled the car. Nervous didn't even begin to describe what I was currently feeling at the moment. If it had not been so damn humid, I would have sworn the sweat on my palms was from nerves. John crooked a finger at me, and I narrowed my eyes. Romeo then did the same, and after looking back inside the car, I ventured closer to them. Once I had joined them at the back of the car, I realized how much taller both boys were compared to me. I was barely 5'5", while both of them were at least 6 feet tall. Often teased over my height, I had learned to ignore it. Being born and raised in a town where everyone knew everyone was difficult. Neither schools nor vacations were a dime away from others because you would see them at church, the park, even the grocery store. Do you need some help getting that off the second shelf, Shorty? Some of the other kids would tease. I might be little, but I'm fierce, I would retort. Those days would soon be over, especially when I finally made up my mind as to what school I wanted to attend. I had a few offers, and it was just a matter of figuring out which ones would offer me enough distance from the place I'd grown up, but also not be too expensive that I couldn't afford to go. I was looking forward to getting away from my small town in Central Texas. John was headed off to San Diego State University, and both Danny and Mari were going to the University of Oklahoma. The reality was that everyone else would be worlds away from me. It made no sense to stay in a place that seemed to suck the life out of me and everyone else. Wouldn't you be happier just staying put and taking courses at South Texas? My mother would ask me. She needs to be more practical. Once she gets her teaching degree, she'll be right back here anyway, my father would chime in. I wouldn't. I had no intention of being confined to the place where I'd grown up. Generation after generation of my family had, but I would break the cycle if it was the last thing I did. My thoughts were still focused on that, so I hadn't heard Romeo when he spoke to me. It wasn't until John nudged my arm that I looked up to see him holding a small container of baby powder. Put this on the bumper. Huh? It was still drizzling outside even if it hadn't been. The car was wet, which meant this powder would stick to the chrome, making a huge mess. You heard him, KESIA. Let's hurry up and do this. I glared at Romeo, and when a crack of lightning lit the sky, I twisted the cap and began to shake the powder onto the vehicle. Now what? We get back in the car and wait. I thought I had escaped this haunted place, but evidently not. This was probably just some sort of urban legend. There was no such thing as ghost children who would move this rusted hunk of junk. If we had not been in it, a passing train strike could only improve its appearance. After throwing my hands up in surrender, I got back into the car with the others, and we waited. All of us were quiet, and as the minutes ticked by, suddenly the car did move the slightest bit. Or had that been John causing it to do so? I glanced over at him, but his feet were nowhere near the pedal, and the gear shift was in neutral. A frisson of fear washed over me, and when the car moved forward again, I let out a scream. While the others were excited, I was scared. John finally put the car in drive, then we were off. The others all laughed while I tried to catch my bearings. We were now headed into San Antonio for a night of debauchery and shenanigans. If this was truly the end of our so-called innocence, I was glad to be spending it with them, because one day I might actually look back on this time and wish to return. Or I could be glad it was finally over. Only time would tell which one it would be for me. And as I looked over at my friends, I knew Romeo, John, Marina, and Danny all felt the same.